delight of welcoming the lovely lady on my right, Bernadette Horton. I'm not going to read all the description about it because you've all had that by email, have you?
No.
Right.
You
Well,
never even in your email.
Norrie,
I do.
Norrie, it would be advantageous to us all if you could access your emails now.
No, there's something there going on, I can't.
Well, see, from me, who can't even send an email, that's rich.
So what is
Okay,
this? I know.
right. Well, on my right is Bernadette. She's the chair of Fluid CLP. She's also she's a very multi-talented woman, this one. She's also a self-employed, low-paid writer on austerity issues and writes for the Morning Star. We're all left-wing here, love you, all right. And is now a North Wales Regional List Assembly, I'll repeat that, a North Wales Regional List Assembly candidate for Labour at the Welsh Assembly elections in 2016. So we're very lucky to have Bernadette with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, Bernadette. She's travelled for an hour and 40 minutes from North Wales, so the rest is up to you, my love.
Okay.
Sell it to us.
Thanks very much for such a warm welcome. Hello everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you in Southport. It's an honour and a privilege to be here. For those of you who don't know me, although I've had a good introduction, I am a working class mother of 4 sons, one of whom is autistic. I'm a carer, a self-employed low-paid writer on austerity for the Morning Star newspaper, and I'm chair of North East Wales Unite the Union Community Branch. And as was just recently said, I've become a North Wales Regional List Assembly candidate for the Welsh Government elections next year. To put it another way, I'm a trade unionist with a big mouth who wants to change the world.
Lovely.
Some of you may have read my articles at the Morning Star. You will know how deeply concerned I am about the lack of working class candidates, working class female candidates, and also disabled candidates within the Labour Party. You see, it's time for a different politician, a different way of doing politics. For every phone conversation at our local CLP, for every door knocked upon, you hear time and time again, you're all the same. You're all in it for yourselves, you haven't got a clue about the lives of ordinary people. And apart from some good, solid working class MPs like Lisa Nandy, Ian Lavery, Dennis Skinner, Graham Morris, I have to agree. If ever there was a time for compassionate politics, it is now. If ever there was a time to stand on the doorstep or at the Labour local office and say to worried, anxious people, why don't you just come in, we'll have a cuppa, talk about the problems you're facing a bit more. I believe strongly in compassionate politics. It's my core belief. Ordinary people want MPs, candidates and door-knocking volunteers like me to shut up for a minute and listen to them. Listening skills are missing from our MPs and AMs. They stare dreamily over your shoulder, they check their watch and start walking away because the bedroom tax doesn't affect them, the fact you can't afford petrol for the car for the entire month for work, and the worry that causes you is a million miles away from anything they have encountered. Caring for a disabled child or elderly relative is an experience alien to them. Surviving on tax credits and knowing the Bullingdon boys are going to cut your monthly income by a few £100, well, they simply don't get it. Getting you down as a number on the voter list is more valuable to them than having the compassion, humanity and time to listen. It's not weak to be compassionate. Neither is it weak to listen and show empathy. Ordinary people want their MPs and AMs to understand how bad things are in their day-to-day lives, thanks to Cameron and the bully boy Ian Duncan Smith. But before all Labour MPs grab their tissues and run to their constituents, I have to point out it's something you either have in you or not. Compassion and empathy cannot be learned, or you will end up looking a fraud on the doorstep or on TV, as working class people are just too canny to fall for pretended compassion. I refer you to Cameron and the Hug a Hoodie campaign he ran in 2005. Dennis Skinner is a genuine compassionate politician who won't take the MP's pay rise until all working class people have had their pay rise. He refuses to drink in Westminster's subsidised bars, as he feels deeply just how wrong this is, while many of us are suffering the welfare state cuts. Ian Lavery, when he talks about the bedroom tax, said recently, "We shall never forget that these properties are not just statistics, these are people's homes." He understands because he listens, and it physically hurts him to see his constituents' misery. I chat to people all the time as a member of Unite Community and as chair of my branch. It's a proud arm of Unite the Union, no longer confined to workplace members, but people from all walks of life in our communities. Carers, disabled people, students, unemployed, retired people. It's the most fantastic idea that Len McCluskey has ever had. Opening up the union to people who want to campaign to save their local community facilities from closure. People like me, who desperately wanted to be active in a union, but who simply didn't work in a unionised workplace. To me as chair, it's about bringing a voice to people who were previously isolated and voiceless. Now we campaign together on issues we want to campaign on. For example, our councils are handing over our care homes for the elderly to private companies. Profit before people. Well, Unite Community will be the ones demonstrating outside the county hall, the ones organising the media to attend, the people desperately wanting to protect the vulnerable people in our communities, and we will be heard. Back on the doorstep with Labour, all I hear is the plea. Do you know we could do with MPs who've done a factory job, worked at a supermarket, cared for disabled relatives, shop in our shops, don't just try to look like us, but are one of us. Indeed, recently an elderly lady came up to me. She complimented me on my dress as she'd had her eye on the same dress in Matalan. She felt it was a bit too young for her, but she said to me, "Well, at least you're one of us, love. Not all fur coat and no knickers like most women MPs." Her view entirely, of course, but a view echoed in different situations on the doorstep. Walk a mile in our shoes. Compassionate politicians are needed in our communities urgently. Our working class people have borne the brunt of austerity going into a 6-year next year in 2016. We are austerity battered, weary, frightened, and trying to hang on in there as best as we can. Often many people living from week to week on 0 hours contracts, a paid day away from losing our homes. I know this because it's happening to me too. Last month, as my 4th son started 6th form, HMRC already cut to the bone with their staff shortages, cut all the tax credits from every family in the UK with a child starting 6th form or college or a training course that week. It meant a £50 immediate cut in income, a week when every penny counts as you kick your child out and spend money on bus fares, lunches for the first week at college, on a new part of their lives. HMRC acknowledged the huge error, which they put right shortly. Took a few weeks. That error made me panic over what to cut down on that week, alongside all the thousands of other families affected too. These errors can tip us over the edge into financial peril. Such is our grip on the cliff edge of austerity. Alongside compassion and empathy for our fellow man and woman, people are fed up to the back teeth of corrupt politics, corrupt politicians and morally bereft government. It's time for honest politics with Jeremy Corbyn. You may laugh, you may think me naive, but I believe there is an honest way to do politics and an honest way to be an MP or an AM. If you make an error of judgment, for example, make a big cock-up, tell people, "I'm sorry, I got it wrong." Again, don't say it if you don't mean it, as people will see through you. Don't say things that sound insincere or out of the normal kind of way you say things, or it sounds false and forced. Take Cameron over Scotland during May's recent general election, saying it's not about giving the effing Tories a kicking. False written all over it. Likewise, if you ever hear me say Nigel Farage, when I'm supposed to be talking about Nigel Farage, leader of UKIP, give me a kicking too. That's my local regionalised accent, that's the way I'm going to talk. If, as a Labour MP, cuts are being made, be honest, tell people why, explain the situation. Don't ignore people on Twitter or Facebook asking polite, pertinent questions that mean a lot to them. Our concerns must be Labour MPs and AM's concerns too, or why are they in politics at all? Whilst I've decided it's right for me personally to enter the political arena, I understand how daunting that can be for others. It's the reason the working class is so underrepresented in Westminster and the Senedd. We're too busy battling to survive to devote time to campaign or try to change things so radically. This is what Cameron and the establishment rely upon. Labour have shown the way on all women shortlists. Perhaps now it's time to go a bit further, and as Tom Watson desires, set up a bursary scheme for working class candidates, get more speakers out to women's forums who know what it's like, encourage new candidates to come forward and get their skills recognised and tapped into. Although there's a small financial pot to help future candidates, this needs to be taken to the next level